Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Mostly Low Budget Movie Reviews. I am your host, Clarence. Thank you for tuning in. Today's episode, I have the number one trending movie on Netflix called Havoc. It's also a Netflix original starring Tom Hardy, and it's listed as an action thriller. Now, from the trailers I saw, this looks like it's going to be one of those throwback action-packed type things. So, what is this one about? Now, we start out with this group of thieves. They're on the run. They have a stolen truck full of washing machines that supposedly have drugs inside. A group of narcotics detectives pursue them, but one of them is badly injured during that pursuit. Eventually they do escape. Later that night, they show up at this bar owned by the Triad gang. I believe that's how you say it, Triads. The Asian mafia is what they are normally called. Now they're there to pay them off or something like that. Won't get into any of that. They go inside to make that payment, and while inside, some masked men show up, and let's just say things do not go well for the Triads at that point. Patrick, Tom's character, is a narcotics officer that is kind of a complicated situation. Let's just say it plainly. He's a dirty cop, and he's in the pocket of this politician. As he investigates, he finds the politician's son is involved in some way with that whole Triad deal that went wrong. But he can't let anybody else know he's aware of this. So he speaks to the politician, and, he makes a deal to say, he's going to get his son out of this trouble. And that's where I'm going to stop, because from there, things get more complicated, because like I said, he's on the take with this politician. He's connected with that group of detectives from earlier that are also dirty, and they have some kind of connection to this case. And to complicate things even further, the true leader of the Triads knows the politician's son is involved and will stop at nothing to get revenge. So, is he going to be able to, elude everybody chasing him, the detectives, the Triad, and save the politician's son without being exposed himself? So what did the pros think? Well, they came in at a 64% on 73 reviews on the Rotten scale, with the audience at a 39% on over 500 ratings, which actually surprised me. I thought it would be the other way around. More on that later. But what did I think? Well, let me get to the positives. And this might be for me and a narrow group of people, but this was a pure throwback to those early action movies where they have those big shootout set pieces where bullets fly everywhere. The body count is ridiculously high. Everyone gets shot at least 20 times. Love the camera angles and the transitions, the way they kind of framed the action. There was even this long hand-to-hand sequence in this nightclub, mixed with some of that gunplay. Not the smooth, slick stuff you would see in like a Wick or even Equalizer. This was just raw, brutal, graphic violence. Nothing fancy here. I do want to give them a shout out. This is kind of a little bit of a side note, but there was some realism in one of these fights. Now, Patrick fights a woman at some point who's a highly trained martial artist, right? But when, she tried to put him in certain holds, he would just pick her up or break out of it and slam her against things and break away. She does get the upper hand at some point, but, because she has superior training. But it was believable that, he was able to break out of the holds and things of that nature, those holes she put him in anyway. And they didn't just have her be 100 pounds soaking wet, beating the brakes off a trained professional while taking no damage. I get so tired of that. And this one, she definitely was in a battle, and it showed. Now, the story itself is pretty basic with the themes, you find in most of these movies with dirty cops. But this also is where my negatives start. Now, the story, I get it, but at the same time, it's a bit all over the place with how all these parties are connected. As the old saying goes, it was clear as mud, which ultimately made it not all that important. You were just waiting for the next action sequence to start. And once the action starts, it's great, but it takes a long, winding road to get there, giving us background and story on characters we don't even really care about, partly because they don't do any kind of character building with these people, and partly because the writing just isn't all that great. The only character that they really had fleshed out was Tom's, and it was pretty generic. But I don't want to beat this one up too much. Let me bottom line this one for you. Did I enjoy it? And yeah, I'm going to agree with the critics here, and actually a little bit more. I'm going to actually put this at a 70% to stay consistent on the rotten scale. The audience pretty much had the same critiques that I had, but they were far less forgiving. While I chose to focus on the action and enjoy the way it was put together, they seemed to focus more on the story and the why part of things. But like I said, this is a throwback action to that for that 80s, early 90s kind of thing. And the story is more built around the action, so to speak. So it's just an excuse to get to the next action sequence. That's how those movies used to be back in the day. The story wasn't the focal point. So, I mean, be patient with the runtime, though. It is a little long, and like I said, it does take a minute for it to get going. But if you want some of that classic gunplay and violence, this will certainly satisfy that need. With that being said, I'll close it out right here. If this is your first time, don't make it your last. This has been a Podbean production, mostly low-budget movie reviews with Clarence. Thanks for support. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, I am up on all streaming platforms, so you don't have to download Podbean if you don't want to. You can go directly to Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, Apple Music, or podcasts or whatever. Yeah, you're going to find me over there. Also, be on the lookout for new videos that will be dropping soon on my YouTube channel and TikTok as well. Low budget movie reviews with Clarence. Again, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time. Peace.